Hello and welcome back to another video of Circuit Digest. In this video, I'll show you how you can build a LoRa Raspberry Pi hat like this one. So the idea of this board is that it can sit directly on top of a Raspberry Pi and it will be able to send or receive data using LoRa communication. Now, people who are following us regularly would have already noticed that this LoRa shield for Arduino Uno was built by us in a previous tutorial to do GPS communication using LoRa modules. If you're interested in that, I will also drop a link of this project in the description. So the reason for having this LoRa shield in this video is that we will be sending values from an Arduino Uno and we will receive it using a Raspberry Pi and display it on the OLED screen over here. Now the actual plan was to use an 18650 cell and a DC-DC boost converter to provide 5 volts and power the Raspberry Pi. But spoiler alert, things did not go as planned. Anyways, let's do some LoRa communication between an Arduino and Raspberry Pi and see how it works. Throughout this video, I'll tell you how the circuit works and also tell you how you can fabricate your own PCB boards like this one. But before we get started, it is important to mention PCBWay, who are not only the sponsors of this video but are also the manufacturers of these shiny white boards. PCBWay provides high quality, cost-effective PCB prototype and fabrication services. They are well equipped to handle standard and advanced PCB designs and can also provide assembly stencil and PCB assembly services. They are known for their shorter lead time and customer service and also supports the maker community. So do consider giving them a try for your next PCB. Now there are 3 important things to discuss. First, whatever we are doing here is not LoRaWAN communication. It is a LoRa node to node communication, meaning LoRaWAN and LoRa are 2 different things. To give a better perspective, let me show you the LoRaWAN topology. So as you can see, a typical LoRaWAN network will have 4 layers. The first layer will have the IoT devices and end nodes. An end node will have a microcontroller, a LoRa transceiver and some sensors. This microcontroller can either be a Raspberry Pi or an Arduino or any other microcontroller, and the LoRa transceiver can also be any other LoRa supported module. In our case, we are using the SX1278, which is this one over here for our Arduino and this one over here for our Raspberry Pi. And then here we are not using any sensors, we are just demonstrating how we can send and receive some sample values. But typically an end node will also have some sensor whose value will be read and transmitted through the transceiver. And then moving on, for a LoRaWAN network, we'll have something called a gateway. A gateway will receive information from all these end nodes and will process it and will send it to a network server, and the network server will check for duplicates and other stuff, and then finally it will send to an application server where you can read the data, visualize it and process it and other stuff. Now I'm not getting in detail with these, but what you have to understand is in a LoRaWAN network there will be something called a LoRaWAN gateway, which makes it possible to communicate with multiple LoRa nodes. So what you have to understand here is that what we are doing is not a LoRaWAN communication and it is a LoRa node to node communication. Our project stops within the first layer itself. Instead of these nodes communicating to the gateway, we are communicating with one another. So this is a LoRa node and this is a LoRa node, and instead of communicating to a gateway, we are going to communicate with each other. Now, if you want to know how a LoRaWAN gateway system works, you should use a gateway, something like this, a Centris RG186, and then you can use the Arduino as a node and to send or receive information. If you're curious about it, you can just Google for setting up LoRaWAN gateway in India and you will find this tutorial on where we used an Arduino board to send data to a gateway and monitor it using the Things network. Now coming back to our project, the second thing you should know is the operating frequency. Now different countries have different operating frequencies that are permitted for LoRa. The modules here that we are using is both 433 MHz. If you want to find in which frequency your LoRaWAN is operating, in which frequency your LoRa module is operating, check out the module itself. As you can see, this is 410 to 525 MHz. and it is currently a program to operate in 433 megahertz. And in India, you're allowed to use only between 865 megahertz to 867 megahertz. This is the permitted frequency of LoRa WAN in India. But anyways, we are just doing this for educational purpose. So here it doesn't matter, but make sure that you are aware of the frequency regulations in your country. And if you're doing a bigger project, make sure you choose the right modules. The third one is the antennas. Now, LoRa modules do come with these antennas, but make sure you always connect these antennas to your module. Because when a module is programmed to transmit data, and if the antenna is not connected, there are chances that the module's transmitter side might get damaged. So always make sure your antenna is connected to your LoRa module. Now with these three things covered, let's get into the circuit diagram. I'll be moving this aside because we are not going to discuss the circuit of this thing. We will only be interested in the circuit diagram shown here, which is the circuit diagram of this board. Now the circuit diagram can be split into three important sections. The first section would be the Raspberry Pi, and the second section would be the SX1278 LoRa transceiver, and the third section would be the DC-DC boost converter over here. So the purpose of this DC-DC boost converter is to step up the voltage from this 18650 battery cell to 5 volts and provide it to the Raspberry Pi. To get a better view, let me also remove the OLED screen so that you can see the DC-DC converter better. Now let's start with the DC-DC converter side. So the input for this DC-DC converter circuit comes from this 18650 cell. Now the voltage range of an 18650 cell will typically be between 3.6 volt to 4.2 volt. Now this voltage is given to the DC-DC boost regulator IC called FP6291. You can see that IC over here on the board. Now there are a few things that you can configure with this IC. The first thing would be the current and the second thing would be the voltage. And if you're coming from this side, you can also see an inductor here, and the inductor value could be between 3.3 microhenry to 4.7 microhenry. We have used 4.7 microhenry for our circuit, and you can see the inductor over here. And then, as I said, we can configure the output current and the output voltage of this IC. Obviously for Raspberry Pi, we are going to regulate 5 volts and power it with the 5 volt pin of the Raspberry Pi, but you can also program it to work with any other voltage. And the output current can also be configured by using this resistor over here. For this particular circuit, I have designed this circuit to regulate the output current at 1 amps, and the formula for your output current, that is the discharge current IDC, is equal to 48,000 divided by this resistor value. So here the resistor value is 48k. So we'll be getting like 1 amps as the output current, and this IC can support up to 2.5 amps. So you can use other resistor values for increasing your output current, which is really necessary for a Raspberry Pi. And then moving on, we have a Schottky diode here and 2 resistors which form a potential divider, and the value of this resistor decides the output voltage of this IC. So the formula to calculate the output voltage is Vout is equal to 0.6 into 1 plus R1 by R2. So for example, we can use something like 88k for R1 and 10k for R2, and we will get an output voltage close to 5 volts. We also have a switch here which can be used to control the power to your Raspberry Pi. So you can turn on or turn off the entire module. And then we have the LoRa module over here, which is the SX1278. As you can see on this module, this is an RA02 LoRa transceiver module which operates on 410 to 525 megahertz frequency, and it is directly soldered to the shield. You can also use other type of LoRa modules like this one. So if we have something like this, after using it, we can remove it and use it for an entirely different project. But here I thought of using this permanently with my Raspberry Pi, so I have soldered it directly to the board. And as I told you, this operates on 433 megahertz, which is okay for educational purpose. But if you're up to for something serious, make sure you follow the frequency standards in your area. And this module communicates using SPI communication. So we have connected all these SPI pins to the SPI pin of Raspberry Pi, and then we have the OLED display which communicates with I2C. So the pins of the OLED are connected to the I2C pins of Raspberry Pi, and we can fix our OLED to our shield like this. Now, as I told earlier, I was not able to get this boost circuit working as expected because I found that the module, the IC was not giving enough power to boot the Raspberry Pi, and when I tried to mess around with the voltage, the IC got damaged and I'm no longer able to get it working. So for demonstrating this project, we will be powering the Raspberry Pi using its power adapter, its default power adapter. And as you can see, the Raspberry Pi's 5V can be used to power your OLED display, as well as the 3.3V pin can be used to power your LoRa module. Another thing is people say that your LoRa module might not be able to work directly from the 3.3V pin of your Raspberry Pi because the pin cannot source enough current for the module. But I have tried this previously and I have faced success in directly connecting the module to the 3.3V pin of Raspberry Pi, and it is working fine. But anyways, if you want a better design, you can also consider adding a low dropout voltage regulator like LMS 1117. Now that we know how the circuit works, it's time to get our PCB fabricated. Now all these PCBs were fabricated by PCBWay. If you want your PCB to be fabricated from PCBWay, then just get into their website pcbway.com and make sure you've already signed in. Then enter the dimensions of your PCB. Say for example mine is 80 x 80 and the number of quantities I need is 5. It will be a 2-layer PCB with 1.6 mm thickness. Then click on quote now and you'll be taken to another page where you will get much more specifications which can be selected for your project. I'm going to leave everything as default, but just to make it look interesting, I'm going to change the solder mask to white. As you can see, our PCB was white in color. And then over here, you can see the time that it would take for our PCBs to reach us. If we select a shipping method, let's say FedEx, so it would take 4 to 8 days to be shipped with FedEx to India, and the price that we would be paying is only $5 for the PCB and $20 for shipping. So if your country has cheaper shipping methods, you can also explore that. And once you're comfortable with the duration and the cost, just click on save to cart, and on the next page it will ask for your Gerber file. Now the Gerber file for this project can be found at the link given in the description, and our Gerber file is ready over here. To add your Gerber file, just click on add Gerber file and click on the Gerber file and it will be added to PCBWay. And then click on submit order now and then proceed with your payment. Within few days, I received my PCBs in a neatly packaged box, and as you can see, the quality of the PCBs are really good. I just proceeded with soldering all the components and uploaded the program for Raspberry Pi, as well as used this module and uploaded the program for Arduino. Both the Arduino code as well as the Raspberry Pi code can be found at the link given in the description of this video. Now what you're seeing here is Arduino sending a message like hello followed by a numeric number, and Raspberry Pi is receiving that message and displaying it on the OLED. Now you might notice that the OLED is getting refreshed quite often and it flickers on the screen, but it's only because of the FPS of my mobile camera and not because of the display. When you see it with your naked eye, you won't be able to notice it. Now as you can see, the value after the hello gets increased every time for every second, as the value from the Arduino also does the same. And to demonstrate that both of these are linked, let me just go ahead and press the reset button on this board. As you can see, once I resetted it, the value also got resetted because your Arduino starts sending from 0. So that is it guys, this is how the project works. Hope you enjoyed the video and learned something useful from it, and I will see you in another video with another exciting project. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.